All right. Yep. Another one. Um, well, this is a customer's, not mine. I actually let somebody talk me into working on one, and even though I'm behind and slow and old, and don't like working on other people's stuff anymore, but they talked me into it. Then they got a little impatient, so I went ahead and finished it up. So this one was pretty clean. I didn't pack it too well when he shipped it to me, but it did survive, and good thing it did because it's got new good tubes in it. Tests pretty good in this one, and this is it underneath. It looks very clean underneath, and replaced the electrolytic caps. The high voltage is the black ones. The low voltage is that blue one right there, and the bias, it's got a single bias board over here. It's that blue one over there. And if you see these four diodes here, that's the 300 volt version of the transformer, the voltage doubler. When the original caps are in, which that's the original cap, one of them, they cover those diodes. They're on top of them, like one's here and one's here. So you can't even see those diodes or what version you have with the original power supply capacitors in. Those are the original power supply capacitors. And also, if you see on this version that it did not have the original high voltage shutoff relay in it originally, and I added this one right here. We got it mounted with this mounting screw for this board here, so we didn't have to drill any holes, and mounted it there, and that's why it's kind of at an angle like that. But we added that high voltage shutoff relay, so the high voltage is only engaged when you key it down. Most Palomars have that, some did not, and the problem is that if you don't have that high voltage relay, it'll put the high voltage on the tubes all the time, and if one of those tubes goes leaky or your bias acts up, or something goes wrong, it could blow the tubes or blow the amp and catch fire literally, even in standby, because that high voltage would be again applied to the tubes all the time. So Palomar on most of them added it on their own. And if you see these two wires right here, let me see if I can get a pointer, because even though I'm off, I'm plugged in, and it does have bleeders, these two resistors right there, but we should be okay. But it's not a good idea to stick your fingers in an amp, period. So these two jumpers right here are where the relay would be mounted on the board. So some of the Palomars had the high voltage relay mounted on the board, and some have the jumpers here. And then on other ones, Palomar had the relay somewhere over here in that area to shut off the high voltage. But again, this one didn't have it. I've been through Palomars enough. That's your negative bias board. That's your input tuner on the high side. It tunes the driver tubes, the input side. That's your meter adjustment. This over here is the high-low switch, this big switch here. And that trimmer there adjusts the input on the high side. My bad, the low side. On the low side, it bypasses the driver tubes. You can drive it up to 100 watts, and that's from Palomar, the manual on it. And you tune the low side for, some people go for max watts, or some go for lowest SWR, but that's what you tune it, the low side with right there, that trimmer there. And basically driver tubes are mounted to that board, your power tubes are mounted to that board, and basic grounded geared amp underneath here. And turn it over. We're not going to go through the front. We've done enough 300As. We cleaned it up for the guy. It was fairly clean, but it was dusty, dirty, so we used a little bit of orange power and cleaned it up. And And that's what it looked like on the top. You know, original fan. That's the output or tank coil for the finals, tune and load, and then your drivers over here. And you got 6 GE 6LF6 tubes in it, and they're all really good. So this one got the plug-in relay board, and the relays were good, preamp worked, so everything worked on it. And we're gonna fire it up, everything out the way safely. Oh, he didn't have a transformer with it, so I had one. 300 volt. The 600 volts are hard to find, so a good thing it was the 300 volt. And tested it and got it hooked up to it, so we're running it off the power supply or transformer. Added on, changed the caps and added the relay and tuned it up, and away it went. So this is a customer's Palomar 300A, and let's put it on standby. And mud duct radio going into it, whole bunch of junk in line for the mud duct radio, so it's only doing under 2 watts, and that's on peak, swinging about 7. That's less than that peak. I mean average. Audio, and that's all it's doing, average there. We got, you know, the radio and the watt meter, SWR meter. We got a little Black Cat 200, got the preamp in line, and a couple switch boxes in line, so I can change stuff over without disconnecting stuff. And then the Palomar, and then the watt meter going up to a dummy load. So it's a lot of stuff in line that's killing the power from the radio before it even reaches the amp. So, you know, not a lot going into it. Yeah, we ought to be nice and warm now. We're just gonna key it on the high side. It does less than half on the low, you know, when bypassing those driver tubes. And we're on average, you know, 1.5 watt, you know, swinging a 3 or 4 going into it. And looks like everything's safe and out the way, so here we go. So it's dead keying 2. Swing a little under 4. Actually up to 250. Audio. Not a lot of swing with the mud duct radio driving it. And last we're gonna put it on peak. Audio. Hello. Talking a little past 500. And that's gonna be it for this customer's Palomar 300A on a dummy load. Alright, bye.